Good evening, folks. We'll now call this meeting to order at 6, a little bit after 6:30. I'd like to welcome everybody, and if you would please silence your mobile devices. And Mr. Lee, since you're with us, would you pray for us?
I'll be glad to. Let's pray together. Dear Lord, thank you for tonight, for a day for us, God, that I pray to serve you, serve the citizens of the county, try to make good decisions that are first of your will and also in the best interest of people we live with. Lord, thank you for this commission board, for all the work they do. Thank you for the staff. Thank you for the citizens, for the people that make it your county what it is. Help us, Lord, to live a life that pleases you more. Thanks for being so good to me, blessing me, God. I pray for those who are having a hard time or don't know you personally. Forgive us for your failure. In your name we pray.
Citizen salute pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioners, you would make yourself prepare for the ethics awareness and conflict of interest reminder. Anyone has a conflict, please let it be known. If not, are there any additions or changes to the agenda? Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented? I'll make a motion. Let's say, what I say. Say, Steve, all in favor? Okay, approval of minutes. Everybody had a chance to look at February 9th, February 17th, January 5th, 20th, February 9th and 17th of closed session.
Gentlemen, I'm gonna abstain from voting on the closed session now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do I have a motion to accept the special session minutes from February 9th, 2026?
Make a motion.
Thank you, Lee. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Do I have a motion to accept February 17th, 2026 regular session minutes? Make a motion. Second. Thank you, Dale. All in favor? And on the closed session minutes for January 5th, January 20th, February 9th, February 17th, 2026. Do I have a motion? I'll make the motion. Thank you, Dale. We're on a second. Thank you, Steve. All in favor? We'll move on to board reports. Well, Commissioner Blakes.
Okay, Mr. County Animal Rescue is the first one on, February 10th. As I had mentioned earlier, they have got a lot of work done over there at the current building, which we talked about last time. But just some things for you to hear with this. They did have a major adoption one day, 16 animals, which was a record for one day of adoptions. And if they get over 500 adoptions for the year 2026, they will be eligible to apply for several grants, which will, be like anybody else. They're always looking for grants, but this will give them more of a reason to apply for grants, but they have to get over that milestone of 500 adoptions for the year. So hopefully they'll get there. And upcoming events, March 28th is the spaghetti fundraiser at Senior Citizen Center. March 28th from 5 to 7:30. April 11th, remember, I mentioned this last time, but I will for the public again. At the Mitchell County Health Department parking lot will be the rabies clinic. And they are also at this point looking usually they run out of vaccines before everybody can get there with their, clinic, so they're looking for a third event. There's two events, one goes to, since it's Toe River from Mitchell and Avery County, one goes to Avery, one comes to Mitchell, but they're looking for a third event for Mitchell County, they hope, in the spring, because they have such a bunch of people coming. They want to try to meet the needs for everybody.
What time was that again? The race on this.
Baby's clinic, I don't have a time, but I will have to choose that.
Okay.
I would say it starts early in the morning, I'm sure. They haven't given the time yet on that, but I will get that to you. But it's on April 11th on Saturday, so mark your calendar. February 18th, and I do have a bunch, I'll be as quickly as possible on rural transportation, high country, Rural Transportation Authority. The first person that got up, the BOC planning program for the Western Region Manager was Teresa Robinson. And she just happened to be talking about quick designs. And in the state of North Carolina, there are 475 quick design programs out there. As we are one of them at Ledger School Road. 275 have attached confidence scopes in their milestones, and 200 have not. Ledger School Road is in the confidence scope milestone. And they really didn't, they really didn't talk that much about the express design like they did the meeting, the quarterly, did they, Alan? They didn't, but they did. And then all of a sudden up pops all these emails a couple of days later about the quick design and asking Alan and I if we had any questions on this that's in your phone. So you can look at that at your convenience. This is the plan that they have for the quick design, Ledger School Road and widening of the highway down there to alleviate, especially morning traffic. This morning, and I was alleviate to that. This morning, it was a nightmare down there for some reason. I don't know why, but it was rough. But anyway, our express line, our express quick design is in the books, and hopefully they're starting to look. They wanted to know if Alan and I had any questions so they can start the financial part. And that's
correct.
okay, the financial part, which means I'm not a highway person, but from what I attend and push and listen to, it's something that is going to happen pretty quick. So May 2026, the announcements will be made when I go to the next quarterly meeting on May 26th for the express design should be out there by then. So hopefully I'll have more news for you then. Sidewalks. Harley, the projects you were started are still on schedule for May. They're in the delivery for the Bakersville sidewalks and the Ledger School Road sidewalks are in the delivery mode now, which means David Graham promises if they're in the delivery box on our charts, that means they're going to happen on schedule. They starts the last of the right of ways, looking at any other costs they might have, but they're still planning in May for these sidewalks to be started. And going on really quick, Division 13 reports, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bridges in Mitchell County that are being replaced, some that were already before Helene, but some due to the damage of Helene. And I will just give you, I'm not going to give you the exact pinpoint, but some of them are in progress now on being worked on. For example, Big Crabtree Creek. There are 2 bridges there. Cane Creek. There are 2 bridges on Cane Creek being worked on. Beaver Creek Road. That has already, I think that one has already begun as well. State Road 1349 and Pigeon Roost over the North Toe River. That bridge is beginning in April. Then we have Green Creek, which begins in September. And then we have 2 state roads, 1403 and 1121 over the North Toe River. that are being replaced. So there's quite a few bridges for Mitchell County that are in the process of being fixed or going to be as the summer and the fall continues. February 19th, I was asked, I came with Stephanie Pittman and her staff to meet Miss North Carolina at Tractor Farm and Food. We took the tour of Tractor Farm and Food, and Starley McDowell gave us a presentation on the Shepherd staff and their involvement. Then, of course, she had Miss North Carolina all over Mitchell County that morning. Other than Farm and Food, Stephanie just asked if I would come and represent the commissioners on that morning, and I did. Tractor Farm and Food is a vital part of our community, if you all don't know that already. And the Shepherd staff in conjunction with them. If you notice, if you're going up to 26 towards the Bruce Pine Town Hall, you'll see a big hole in the pavement. And a big gravel way up, that's their new pantry they're building. And Starley's all excited about that. It's gonna serve so many people, that food pantry is. So, you know, sometimes if you want to see what they do there, I didn't know they did all this at Tractor Food and Farm. I mean, these monster coolers and freezers everywhere in where the car place service area used to be. I mean, these massive freezers that are from the floor to the ceiling. And I mean, I was very impressed with it. So anyway, representatives there, and then, of course, Monday, Jeff and I attended, Freedom Life. The executive team met on Monday, morning. And once again, that we are working on our entities, advocacy, employment, housing, substance use, mental health, transportation. And of course, once again, to elaborate, Freedom Life's purpose is to serve the needs of the people and their families as they readjust back into society of those who are incarcerated. Through the Freedom Life's always looking through for grants. All this for Freedom Life and Mitchell, Avery, Yancey, and McDowell are all grant funded. So it's a very important thing that we're working on. We're making progress with it, and Jeff may have something to elaborate on his part shortly, but that's all I have.
Mr. Pittman. Man, I tell you, that was a hard act to follow. Man,
Not hard,
man
not
comes
hard.
in hot and tired and all these things, and I'm sitting there going, I remember going to that meeting, that's, you did a very good job there, but I luckily had some folks in the congregation here that could help me, because I'll start with JCPC,
I know, we missed you.
and I did not make that meeting, so I'll ask you for.
But you said you were coming the night before, I'm worried about you, Steve.
I apologize. I did not look at that morning the way I had hoped, so, any updates from the JCPC that you'd like to?
Just that we are doing, as you and I were talking about earlier, we will have the next meeting, the presentations from the folks who have applied. We have gotten our applications for this cycle of funding, and we'll be taking their presentations at the next meeting that we hope to be here with us for.
If I'm not there, the good Lord has put me somewhere that I shouldn't be, so I'll do my best.
And aside from the thing that I keep telling you all that I was particularly adamant about at this last meeting, it has come to our attention that everybody thought Misty and I saying that we are resigning our seats was a joke. And I think they're just starting to believe in this.
I'll come into.
And it was a great deal of stuff. And so I will tell you all again, we need it.
It's
but they-
time to pass the torch.
Yeah, but we don't have any torch bearers yet, so
Well.
it was a good start.
Well, thank you for that update. I appreciate that. The mailing meeting, so we did have, this is Dr. Gabriel's, first meeting. We kind of went through, so we introduced some new employees. Gene Self is taking over as the Director of Human Resources. Melissa Delitsky is the Director of Financial Aid. Elizabeth Lofton, Success Advisor. Samantha Knight, EMS Program Coordinator. Shana Pittman will be the Cosmetology Faculty. Tracy Holman is taking over Criminal Justice Coordinator. Brenna Hutchings will be the STEM Tutor Supplement Instructor. Shauna Boyles will be the business administrative instructor in the prison program. Amber Gardner will be taking over, financial aid, so a lot of changing and staff and responsibilities there at Malin. We did some celebrating success. We had Dr. Boyd's retirement party out of the Whitson building. It went really nice. I think he was pretty happy and to give him a nice send off. And Dr. Gabriel, as glad as we are to have him come on, he's had a very rough start to his, he decided he forgot he was 50 and went riding sleds with his kids and tore his rotator cuff in a fury of falls and literally a few days after that his dad passed away. So he's had a rough start to his manly career, but he's got a great attitude and really excited to see where he takes the college. That's pretty much the Maitland board meeting. Vi, we did not meet. I got a meeting at the end of this month. The regional board meeting in that's actually in Burlington. And then Main Street has not met since this year, since Spruce Pine took that over. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of limbo, in my opinion right now. I don't know what you think, Harley.
Spencer said that they had moved him, that they were gonna leave, Spruce on Main Street active, to be able to possibly rent out the office space in like the little park area and then the conference space. To be able to utilize that for grants, but they have shifted his position to a Spruce Pine tourism / recreation job. I think. But I don't know what the new office is.
Just, Spruce Pine funded a lot of Main Street activities, so but it's a big designation, that Spruce Pine Main Street. And a lot of people worked for a lot of years to obtain that, and I'm a little nervous personally if what the next chapter holds, and I really hate to lose what the group coming forward, but I also understand there's a cost and all those things. So right now, a little bit in limbo there, in my opinion, as far as where that's going to go.
But he is going to tourism.
Good. Good.
Something you can know that.
I hope so. Like I say, I think it was a good organization that did a lot of good stuff for Spruce Pine out there. And, really, I'd like to see that whole thing matriculate over in Bakersfield and Main Street and Spruce Pine. I think that you get some really nice benefit for both. But anyway, that's my updates.
So,
Mr. Lee.
I had an EDC and a chamber meeting. My notes from the EDC meeting on March 12th, EPPNC will be in Mitchell County to film a video of the Mitchell Business Park. And then 11:30 that same morning, Garrett Wyckoff, who is the site selection manager for EDPNC, will give a presentation. I think everybody should got an invite to that, but he'll do a presentation on the economic impact in our communities for the park. That'll be held at the hotel. Sanford Holzhauser has completed all the due diligence on 92 acres for the park. And we as the county need serious waiting on the results of the geotechnical boring from the engineers. Recently, BRP announced that Curtis Taylor will be the general manager for the Spruce Pine facility and all operations associated with the plant. So that's good news to have a local person taking more leadership there. And there's a nice Facebook post, I think just today, just recently, about the chamber of the EDC recognizing Sam Jones from the high school for leadership and commitment to the CTE program. We have a commitment from Malin to, as far as the chamber is concerned, we have a commitment from them to be able to hold the Minner and Gem Festival there. There's some documentation to be completed, but that looks very positive. And that date is July 30th through August 2nd. The chamber also has a golf tournament scheduled for May 18th. Steve, I know they're wanting your swing there.
That's it's makes you.
And mine too, probably.
I'll be glad that
Yeah.
the team in there.
Okay. As y'all well know, they held the cannabis forum on the 19th, which I was able to be there for most of it. It was, I thought, really well attended by the public. But EDC changed all I had, Chairman. It should, we have a commitment from Baylor Community
Okay.
College to use the old, I call it the old ice rink. I don't know what their term is for the property now.
Yeah.
But it's the old Coliseum. It's worked out because, it's a big win for us because it was pretty iffy whether or not we were gonna be able to have that this year. Made them, really step it up for us.
Ms. Harvey.
Mine is short and sweet and simple. We did the first round of interviews for the lottery position. We will be moving forward with those. And then, the TDA is gonna be doing their TDA tourism summits. I think I spoke about the date at our last meeting, but that is March the 19th, and it'll be at the Whitson Building. So mark your calendars, Lily's very excited about that. She's got some good stuff rolling out. And so it should be pretty exciting. So mine is short and sweet this time, the next month will be Wednesday.
Not a lot for me going on, and Bill and I did do freedom of life. He's already told us what we did for that, also went for the High County Council of Government. First presentation from Healthy Blue, we'll talk a little bit about that. And some concerns with that, so Holly Jones from the governor's office and Health and Human Services will be there at the April meeting, answer some questions. As far as that goes, for our kiddos. On the annual report, and this is pretty interesting, for every dollar membership dues, return on investments, $108.73. Back to the counties.
For every dollar, and just in, I think when I was on that, the board, I want to say it was like in the 70s or something like that.
It's
Maybe.
like cost savings.
Yeah, so that's big, but
And you know, we Mid County and Town of Spruce Pine are both in planning and development on some things, which is very good, for both our Town of Spruce Pine and Mid Counties. I feel for share, I was very well aware of, stormwater improvements for the Town of Spruce Pine, hopefully $1 million water pump station for the Town of Spruce Pine. I think that's probably gonna be out there around CHP for the tank on the pump station. And, you know, the transportation facility, they've worked with us and helped us on that, so we got a lot going on and they're helping us a lot within this county. And we're thankful for that. A lot of people don't realize how much they do or how important they are to the region. So that's all I have. We'll move on. Items for discussion. We'll leave amendment to loan agreement, state cash flow loan for disaster response activities to local government for the state of North Carolina and the county of Mitchell C.
As you know, we got 3 cash flow loans from the North Carolina, the state of North Carolina, to help us in Western North Carolina counties who were impacted by the hurricane. And these loans were designed to help us meet our needs, to do recovery and projects until FEMA money started flowing in, which was great. And for us, we got about $7.5 million in 3 different allotments. The great thing about that is this first year that we're in right now, year 25-26, our first payment was $1 per loan, which the state picked that up and paid that for us. We did not have to pay that payment. But in 26-27 budget that we're getting ready to start, our first loan payment on that was gonna be right at $750,000 for 10%. So the state has recognized the need, has continued for this cash flow loan money, and we are all still working to get our FEMA reimbursement. So this amendment, which they have graciously agreed to do, is it is deferring any payments on these loans until 2030. So the way this will work, in my mind, and I hope I'm telling this right, but basically, this was to help us get through this short period of time. At some point, FEMA will give us our funds, and at some point, we're gonna pay these loans back to the state. They are interest-free, which is wonderful. I guess at 2030, before June 30th of 2030, we'll have to look at our situation and see where we are. According to the amendment, I think we can ask for another 2-year extension if we need to. And I would like to hope that 2030, we have all of our funding, but we do have to remember that the state's gonna hold 25% of that funding. Until these FEMA projects are completely closed out, and that means audited by the state government and the federal government. So, you know, Alan and I talked about it, and I said, you know, this is gonna be, really gonna benefit us, because that 7.5 in cash flow loans is gonna cover that 25% that the state's gonna hold. So in 2030, you may want to ask for an extension until the state gets those closed out. And I'm hoping that that's going to encourage the state to maybe get those closed out sooner than later, knowing that maybe they'd like to have their funds back, and we'd like to have everything.
Have we spent any of this money yet? We have.
We paid the briefing.
Okay,
FEMA's reimbursement, so we have to pay the bills, submit those invoices and put the payment to FEMA before we get our money back. And, I will follow up with that. I do have that. I was gonna report to you later, but our big debris project, thanks to Alan and Ted Bud's office, did get signed. Saturday, it went from the federal government portal, transferred to the state. I'm watching for it to hit the state portal. As soon as it does, we'll start recycling this money. In other words, I will start sending them paid invoices for this amount of money. Once I get that amount of money back, then I'll recycle it to pay the rest of their invoices. So, yes, we are using this money for FEMA projects, and that's what it can be used for. So I'm excited. This is really good, because I was stressing about how we were gonna put $750,000 loan payment into our budget next year. So I'm excited about this. So I'm asking you guys to approve this amendment, and we'll get it sent back to the state and get that obligation off of us. And I see, Ford nodding his head. Is there anything that I missed on this?
I believe that you have covered all the details and don't have anything to add.
Thanks.
Anybody got any questions? Have a motion to approve the state cash flow loan.
I make the motion.
On a second, all in favor? Motion carries. And ladies, you're up again for Best Partner Shop.
I guess you did say the one thing, you said we would have asked in 2034,
A 2-year extension if we need it.
but we need to keep in you, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, any way you said it, it made me think it might not be. That's.
Get a long time off.
Oh,
Good news for us, bad news over retirement.
I'm trying to get these closed out. In fact, I'll say one more thing on that. The debris is in the process of moving to the state, and that is $13 million. But I'm also in the state portal right now. I'm waiting on $840,000 on some other projects from the state. So we are working, I'm working, and Alan's working really hard to get these FEMA things done. As far as the money flowing and getting it approved, we're down to just about 2 projects left. We're still waiting on 4 obligations, so we probably are working harder than anybody I know to try to get these done. We're, instead of keeping them going for years, we're trying to work hard. Okay, let's talk about budget. Your favorite subject. Okay, it is March, so outside agencies, request letters went out the first of the week. Some of them were emailed, all of them got one in mail, but ones that I had emails got an email request too. Those are due back on April 17th, so for you that serve on different boards that ask us for funding, I'm sure you're gonna start hearing them work on their budget this month because they are due back to me by April 17th. That's all your outside agencies. Inside county departments got their working worksheets, their budget worksheets for next year. They have scheduled time to come in this month and talk to me and Alan about their budget request. So we'll have all those compiled sometime by the end of the month. Workshop dates. I have looked at well, we'll back up and we'll go into it the back way. As you know, your budget public hearing is gonna be your first meeting in June, and that's gonna be June 1st. Alan needs to give you the formal budget presentation sometime prior to the end of May. So I would love it if maybe we get closer to time, if we would consider changing that second meeting in May, which would be a morning meeting, to May 26th. Normally, your meeting that month would be the 19th of May. If you could push it to the 26th, then you wouldn't have to have another meeting for budget presentation. Think about that date as doing your second meeting in May on the 26th, doing budget presentation at the same time.
And it would be a morning meeting.
It would be a morning meeting and you wouldn't have to have a third meeting in May to do budget presentation. So if you back up from that, the dates that I think are available to do your budget workshops are gonna be the week of April 27th through the week of May 15th. There's like 3 weeks in there that would be great if you all could meet, and that gives Alan and I a couple days to get it all together for budget presentation on the 26th of May. Alan, what's your thoughts on those timeframes?
Do you need a lot of time from ENR dates, or there's not that much, so it's not that big of a deal?
We're fine.
So yeah, I think, as we start, I think we need a kind of a budget, preliminary workshop to put everything on there to kind of get y'all an idea of what the requests are. What our funding looks like. And then after that, you'll kind of think on it. And then we'll have a follow-up finalization. So it'll probably be two workshops. We thought about doing a budget retreat. Or something where we did a half day starting at lunch, maybe doing lunch and then having an afternoon meeting, maybe from like if we got a day and went from like 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Maybe get that room at the golf course or something because this place is. I know, we need an off day. We could take our own, get our own bigger room there, so the public are also, welcome to come. But yeah, anything in that week of 12 or April 27th through May 1st. And we did for a first pass at the budget. And then after that, we would need maybe a 2-hour meeting to final it out because we talked to you individually and some of the things.
And as the outside agencies things come in, I will do like I've done in the past for those of you who've been here before. I'll go ahead and email those out to you so you can be reviewing them and looking at them. And then, of course, once they all come in, I'll compile them in one packet for you. But as they come in, and the reason I do that is because if you serve on that board or something, you may want to see what did come in, or if people start asking you, did you see my budget request? Sometimes they don't realize that it comes in and then you may not get it to your first budget retreat or your first budget meeting. So I do go ahead and try to email those out to you. So if someone does come up to you and say, yes, I have seen your budget request. So you'll get those as they come in.
I would personally like to do the first one at the end of April, so we have time to just kind of like process everything, but I don't know how the rest of the board feels.
Does not be Friday, May 1st.
No, that's
I
your
would prefer no
anniversary.
Fridays.
That's not
The
good.
day after your anniversary.
I would prefer not to do
These
the
things.
27th, but Monday, I'm gonna be out of town that Monday, but I'll be back that evening, so. Of April, so. Yeah.
Yeah, let's work me up the 30th if we're going to evening retreat. You're gonna get me in trouble on that, but it's gotta be out of the doghouse.
No, we can't do that. That's.
See, do the
that's-
No, that's
In
not.
case they need a getaway, you
That's
know.
why.
My,
It's anniversary.
Sure, and brought up was the next thing.
No,
not unless you want me to come stay at your house.
At least 28 to 29.
Either one
of the good,
We should just clean up good.
It's good. We can
Y'all clean up.
golf course at say 1 that gets through the lunch hour, and then we can just walk through.
Well,
We'll make sure it's available. If it's not available, we'll see if we can cater it to another location, so.
that was April the 21.
And
Okay.
yeah, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. was the general time.
Then we want to see how that one goes, and just give you another date after that, I don't know how many time we need.
Because we'll meet that following week, that following Monday.
Sounds good. Don't think I have anything else.
Thank you, Ms. Ladies.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion. Let's accept it.
Thank you, Lord. Do I have a second? So, all in favor? Finance officer report, you have anything else on this, mate?
I put, February's financial reports in your box earlier in the week. You've not got your mail, you might want to check it, but that's all I have.
All right. Al, Kevin, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So county manager report is, today we had a debris meeting. Typically I do those bi-weekly, and, you know, every week for the last 6 months, I ask about private property debris removal. So our citizens, need to know that is still moving through FEMA. On the private property debris removal, the FEMA projects have been uploaded from the state. And I think we have about 1,000 projects in Mitchell County thereabouts that, you know, have been marked, for private property debris removal. But the, state is still reluctant because they're dependent upon FEMA to, know when that releases. So we are still waiting on it. It has not been, discontinued or stopped. Sometimes I hear those rumors in the community is they're not going to do PPDR, or they've it's not going to move forward. We're still hearing that it will move forward. Be patient. I'm telling folks that maybe by the end of March, that's the 1 year, 6 month anniversary of Helene. There's a lot of deadlines coming up with FEMA, and so maybe we'll see those projects really move through this month because we're on that time frame. So on private property debris, you know, just hang in there. We're one of about 12 other counties in the same boat. This isn't necessarily a Mitchell County problem in the fact that, you know, it's not Mitchell County specific. It is across everyone that's waiting on PPDR through the state debris program is in the same boat.
Quick question on that. Is there any way for us to put out for the citizens, maybe on the county website or something, a link that will take them to, hey, here's the queue of, you know, however many thousand people that put in for a job. Here's the jobs that's in the queue. I don't even know if it's possible here, but here's the ones we're working on and here's where you're at in the list or something like that.
So with that, the state's got those down and they are personal PII, FEMA sees them as personal information with that. So FEMA's really crazy about the PII, and I do know that when they get approved from FEMA, they will get they'll get billed out to the debris contractors, and I think at that point they'll start getting called, but I'll probably in these meetings start hearing Mitchell County's had 50 projects released, or Mitchell County's had 100 projects released. But yeah, that's the thing with FEMA is everything
That's the only for complaints that I've had. Anybody that's asked me was like, hey, I just don't feel like I know any information as to where I'm at and where I'm going. And I said, well, you're definitely not alone there, because we are also a little bit blind here. And I didn't know if there's anything we could do to, they don't.
Yeah, I wish there was. Now I've got, you know, a spreadsheet of all the folks that, you know, were getting requesting PPDR, but then the debris management contractor grabbed hold of those and did the finalization of the project packets. And so they finalized them, they moved them forward. And so like if you call Debris Tech and say, hey, I put in with you all, did that move to FEMA? They can give you like a yes or no on their lines, but it's still not ideal. Like you say, I agree. It has been nothing but a mess with the private property debris. The rest have went well, but we're one of another dozen counties. And when I go to these regional meetings, that is a big topic of where we're always discussing, you know, can the state move this forward? Can FEMA move this forward? So it's definitely an issue. We were glad to get we had some reimbursement money come in. So early on in the storm with debris, you have debris along your roadsides, Iron Mountain, for example, Crabtree, Little Switzerland, everywhere had trees down, Deer Park. All that debris was run as road right of way debris on the roadside right of ways, and that's what we were funding through the county up through July of this past year. And so all that debris debt was due. We reimbursed out, or we held those. So we finally got payback for those. They were sitting in the cash flow loans that Mavis had. So we were kind of waiting for our money to pay off our debt. So when that 12.7's in the works of coming through, that's going to move a lot forward. That's a big deal for us, and been very happy working with the finance team on that. We've been having a heavy financial load, and we're in a good place in that we're moving our funds, and we got some cash flow coming back into play. Far Statesville, we got EMS. We should have 2 new ambulances coming online in the next, I would say in the month of March, we'll have these ambulances coming on there. Got a new paint job, brand new, so we're looking forward to that. We always kind of working through that right now in its early stages, you know, in a new department under Mitchell County. You know, we're just trying to tweak that out and get it better, optimize it for our citizens. But we're working in a good direction on EMS. Also, you know, as we work on a transportation base, we're still moving forward on site selection and all those things related to getting a site there. We're working with FEMA on some temporary offices at Bowman, hoping that might go through and get us some funding to kind of take a little bit of the traffic out of this office, decompress it a little bit. So that project's going through. Mavis and Deidre are working together along with myself on some CDBGDR infrastructure grants. One of those projects is working on a renovation of Bowman, where we're gonna try to make, in Helene, our emergency shelter, the only emergency go-to shelter in the county was Mitchell High. And as a result, as the county came back online and people were in that shelter, we couldn't open the schools. So we're looking at some grant money to insulate, put a generator, and just generally fix up Bowman to where it can be our one-stop county shelter, go-to shelter for large amounts of big size in there. Also having a feeding center for disasters in the cafeteria area, so we're making a request on that. It will be called a resiliency hub. It also maybe house the long-term disaster recovery, and you have French Broad nearby, so those are all resiliency factors for our communities. If there is a disaster, if we have a, heaven forbid, a wildfire or something come through and knock a portion of our county out, and we have to have a place for our citizens, that will be good. Of course, those renovations will also be used on the good days for rec league, 4-H, ag extension things, community use. So it's got a dual purpose on that. So we're moving forward with finding those funds. Also, ag extension, we're as you saw on that high country thing, we had some stuff going with ag extension, and we're still moving forward. Did some grant interviews today, asking for about $1 million or so to work on that ag extension building that's the old shop building at Bowman is what I call it. But we're looking to get that renovated and get our ag extension staff to where they have the tools to better serve our folks that are looking to optimize their farming setups and working with those careers, even food trucks, even consumer sciences. So looking at that, got a lot going on our projects, been working a lot with our stakeholders. A lot of this job is getting and building those relationships with our senators and our representatives. I'll be going to the Grow NC meeting on Friday. We have an NCACC meeting tomorrow. Several of our staff will be going to that. It's trying to advocate for Mitchell County is a lot of what we do. And I say we, these commissioners here, y'all are doing that. And that's really what it takes. We're always going to be focused on, we're going to advocate and implement. So that's a game plan anyway. And that concludes the county manager report. I've got questions.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah, the gas line is nearby. Oh, and that reminds me, debris in the creek is getting moved. Silt debris in the creek is getting moved here in Bakersfield. Take a look at how much lower the creek bottom is. I'm real proud of that one. That's been about a year fought battle to get those that equipment in that creek. But that's now finally concluding. My county manager.
How far will they go with it?
They will go up to the top of the Wade Tipton field, right in that the FEMA zone that got approved for silt debris went from approximately Bakersville Fire Department bridge up to Wade Tipton. Now I had a couple extra debris points down below that bridge that we got as well that the state was able to work in, but the main area will be from top Wade Tipton field down to Bakersville Fire Department. And on average, about 3 foot silt will be dug out. There's some pockets of 5 foot in a few places, but on average, about 3 foot of silt will be dug out of that creek.
And any idea on the way to get from the field?
Good question. Yes, so Wade Tipton Field, I got RF right now. We are going to do a CMAR on both projects. You as a board will probably be selecting that in the April meeting to get those Wade Tipton and our field beside us done with about approximately $2 million in FEMA funds and then another $1 million in mitigation. So there'll be about a $3 million project to get our 2 fields going. So that is coming, and hopefully work might be starting on that about midsummer, maybe earlier if we can get our pre-construction meetings in place and our design in place. So that's coming soon. This time next year, you're gonna see a lot of different stuff.
Thank you, Alan. Board comments, Ms. Harvey.
Just very glad to hear all of the good news in your report, Alan. Thank you.
Mr. Lee.
No comment.
Mr. Lee.
Let's go, it's tonight.
Mr. Lee. Mine is congratulations to Harvey, Lee, and Dick Rosen on their victory yesterday in the election. Very tiring day. I think we would all agree, right? I don't know about y'all.
You're not sunburned today.
It's been a hard day for me to function with my joints. I believe. I've got another 8 months, guys, here. It's been a pleasure. We've still got a lot of work, but I'd like to see us work together as a board, this current board get accomplished. Couple of things I mentioned will be the opioid settlement. You know, that sort of slipped by the wayside because of the storm. And I'd like for us to come up with our 1, 3, and 5 year plan. Let's review that. And get it on paper. So. For the remainder of my time, I will have a little say so. You know, projects hopefully coming up, and then if you guys want to revisit when the new board is sworn in, that would be fine, but that's all I have. And now we will enter into a closed session under general statute 143, 318, 11. 83, consult with an attorney, clerk, attorney, and board will remain. And do I have a motion?
So,
Let's say, we'll now go into closed session.